So this is my user registration website. I am just going to display that. So I have the full name, email, password, age, and bio. I can resize this. So I'm going to enter the user. So Connor. I'll just do like Connor G. Connor@gmail.com. I'll have a password like capital G, lowercase g, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, question mark. Just put 20. I am Connor. And then I'm going to register. And then it displays the values in a nice table. And then I can register another user. I can go to the feedback form, pretty much the same thing. Website. This site sucks. It's trash. And then I can choose a rating from 1 to 5. I can send the feedback. Now if I have a subject like that has no message, I can send the feedback and then it will display an error. So it will not bring me to the success page. So you see, if I write some random things, it brings me to a feedback received page. The same thing here. If I try to register empty, it will display errors. So the first thing that occurs in this program, I've created some packages. So I have controllers and forms, and then I have just the regular demo application where it begins. And then I have some resources. I have CSS and I have some templates. So the first thing that occurs is the home controller. As soon as the website's opened, it goes here. It adds a new user attribute name, and it creates the user registration form, and then it returns register, which means that opens the register HTML file. And so this is what's within the register HTML file. It allows the user to input text, and each input field will catch what the user inputted. And then when they submit, when they hit that submit button, it goes to the post mapping of register. So I'm going to go to the registration controller. It goes to this post mapping. Whenever if I can never get this to open them both simultaneously. There we go. So they're both opened. So whenever this is submitted, it will go to the post mapping of register. It goes here. And so what this does is it takes that model attribute of user. So it'll take that user object, and so each of these inputs modifies or mutates a field of the user. So this input will mutate the full name field of user when submit is pressed, and all the other ones will do it to the respective fields. And then it will be added, so like it's within the model. So user is within the model as seen here. It was added to the model here. And so this takes the model user, it binds it to that. But what this really does is it has this valid annotation on the model attribute of user, and then it puts that into binding result. And what this valid does is it goes to the user form, user registration form, which is an object. So it does this whenever the form is submitted. So whenever you submit this form after you've added things into the text fields, it will go into here, and these are constraints. A constraint basically limits a field. So this field cannot be blank. This field must be at least 2 characters long. This field must be only letters. And so what this does is this checks all of these constraints. So if what the user inputted for their full name is blank, then this will return an error. So not blank will error, and that message will be stored. Size will, if what the user inputted for name is 1 character long, or 0, then it will store this message. Same thing for that. And so and then it stores all those messages, if any of these evaluated to be errors, inside a binding result. If binding result has errors, then immediately display register again. And so now this paragraph, timeleaf will say if the field of full name has errors, display those errors. So if all of these or any of these evaluated to be an error, so let's say I entered nothing for full name, well now this fields.has errors contains this message, full name is required. And timeleaf will automatically go through every error that was stored within this has errors, and it will display them. So it will display all the stored errors of full name using valid, this valid keyword. So valid goes through, gets the errors, binding result takes the errors that were generated. If there are errors generated, then return register and display the errors. So if timeleaf has found that full name has any errors, display those errors, and same thing for everything else. And that's how it works. And so if any of these fields generate any errors, then do not continue. Just go back and refresh the page. And that's how you can cleanly check for errors. And so safe bio, this is encoding to basically deny XSS attacks. This is a single line if statement, which basically says if the bio of the user is null, so if the user did not input any bio, then change safe bio to an empty string. Otherwise, if the user did enter something for their bio, and encode it, so change safe bio to the HTML content encoded version. This is pretty much the same thing as that line. If the user's bio is null, then change their bio to an empty string. Otherwise, encode the bio so it's safe. So that's basically the same thing, but this is a more efficient way of doing it. And then add all those attributes so that they can be displayed. So add all the things that the user entered, except for the password. Add all these things to the model so that it can be displayed and register success. And then it will go through, and timeleaf will display those stored model attributes. And yeah, that's pretty much it. It's pretty much the same thing for feedback controller, except it uses an array list for the selector. So if I go here, this is an array list of numbers between 0 and 6, so 1 through 5. And I just add that to rating options. So I add rating options as ratings, and what it does is if I go to feedback, this is a selector, goes through every single, so basically I say every key in the ratings array I name R, and then I will basically catch the value that that the user inputted. So if the user inputs 3, I will catch that value when submit is clicked, and then I'll be able to display that value. So I store that value in ratings. So when I go to where's it? So I got the feedback controller, so that when I go to here, I can display the actual rating itself. So what I'm essentially just doing here is I'm modifying this is register. I'm just modifying the rating property of the feedback object. And if I click 3 and then send feedback, the ratings object property named rating will be 3. And that's it. And then I have a CSS file. I really tried to make my code, like my structure, more. I hope my explanation was adequate. It's kind of complicated, like it's very cool, the security features, like going through, it's such a clean way, like you have all of your possible error cases contained within the object itself. So like you have all the error cases for each field. So so full name must not be blank, full name must be 2 characters, full name must only be letters. If any of those are not true, then go here, validate. So validate them, store them in binding result. And then if any of them had errors, return. Go back to register. And then when register is displayed again, if this password has any errors, then display the errors using timeleaf if. Because if I didn't have this if statement, that it would display null for every error, because they didn't error. So yeah, very very good design pattern to do when you're working with security in timeleaf or in Spring itself. And yeah, thank you.